Welcome back. In this video we're going to create a second level for the game we created in our first video. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is create a new backdrop. So I'll go ahead and click Stage, and notice I've got the backdrop one we created originally. I'm going to right click on this and click Duplicate. So that's going to create this new backdrop 2. I'm going to click the paint bucket icon, and I'm going to change this finish line color to red for mine. Now we need to determine when to switch between these backdrops. So what I'm going to do is go to the script section here, and we're going to want to drag over an event. So when we start our game, we want to change the looks. So go to looks, and let's switch backdrop to backdrop 1. We're going to want another event that says when I receive, and we're going to want to change this to a new message and type next level and click OK. We will switch the backdrop to backdrop 2. So now we can go back to our cat, and notice before, the way I was checking that if we had won the game was I was checking if the cat was touching the color green, and I had the cat say winning in my case. Well, I'm going to change that now, so I'm going to right click on this say winning block and click delete. Now I'm going to go to events, and I'm going to go broadcast next level. I'm going to drag that over and connect it right here. So let's watch what happens. I'm going to click the green flag and start the game over again. So I click, we're back at the beginning. And notice the red line shows up, so we're on backdrop 2 now. Now notice these lines and our meteor are still here on level 2, and we don't want to see them anymore on our second level because we're going to add some new obstacles. So go ahead and let's click Sprite 2, and let's drag over an event of when I receive next level, change the looks to hide. Let's do that again for Sprite 3. And another thing you can do is you can right click on this block. So if I right click here and click Duplicate, notice I'm dragging the same thing. And if I click here on Sprite 4 and then go to the Sprite 4 page, notice that got pasted in here. So that's a little quick trick to maybe save you some time while you're doing this. So now if I click the green flag and start the game again, notice when we went to the second level, all of our sprites have disappeared. But notice our cat doesn't get reset to the initial position when we got to the finish line. So let's fix that. So let's click on our cat sprite, and let's create a new event. So let's pull over when I receive next level, and notice we have this point in direction 90 degrees, go to -186, -14. And all this block was doing before was resetting us to the initial position when we got hit by one of our sprites. So we'll just right click on this block and click Duplicate, and we'll connect it down here. So let's start the game over again and see if we get put in the correct position when we finish the first level. And we did. So the next step is we're going to need some new obstacles for our new stage. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, choose Sprite from Library, and for me I'm going to go to Sports, and I'm going to use a basketball in my case, but feel free to use whatever you want. So I'll click OK, and notice my basketball got added. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase the initial code that got put here, so I'll right click and click Delete. Now, when we first start the game, I don't want the basketball to show up because it should only show up in level 2. So I'm going to drag over this when the start button is pressed, And I'm going to go ahead and grab from looks, hide, and connect it. So that way when the game starts, our basketball will be hidden. Now, when I receive next level, I want to show the basketball. I'm going to go back to events, and I'm going to drag when I receive next level, looks, show. Now, initially, I want my basketball to move around. So what I'm going to do with this basketball is I'm going to use the motion tab, and I'm going to do a glide. So I'm going to bring over 2 of these glides. I'm going to glide for 3.5 seconds between 80 and 150. Then I'm going to glide for 3.5 seconds between 80 and negative 150. So let's see what all of this looks like now by clicking the green flag. So notice our basketball is hidden. And now the basketball on the new level is moving around. Now since we want our basketball to do this maneuvering forever, we're going to go back to our control blocks and drag this forever loop. So go ahead and pull these blocks out, pull in forever, and drag your blocks back in the center. So now your basketball will glide forever between these different positions. So now I'm going to create a couple more obstacles. So I'm going to go back to New Sprite. I'm going to go to Sports, and I'm going to use a basketball again. I'm going to create another one as well. So for the second sprite, I'm going to use basically the same code I used for the first one. So I'm going to right click on this whole block here, click duplicate, and click on basketball 2. I'm also going to use this as well, so I'll click duplicate and click on basketball 2. I'm going to do the same thing for basketball 3 as well. Now I'm going to go to basketball 2 and delete the original code that got pasted by right clicking and then clicking delete. And now I'm going to change the forever block for our second sprite. I'm going to change that to 2.9 seconds and 2.9 seconds. And I want it to move between negative 80 and 150 and negative 80 and 150. Now our third sprite, I'm going to delete the initial code block that got put in there. And I'm going to change it over to gliding 3.5 seconds between 150, negative 150, and negative 110, negative 150. Then I'm going to grab a couple more motion tabs. So let's go ahead and pull a couple more of these motion blocks over and do 2 more in here. Let's change that to 3.5 seconds. Let's do this one between negative 110 and 150. And then do our last one to 150 and 150. And change it to 3.5 seconds. Now what this is going to do is we're going to make, as you can see right now, this basketball is moving basically in a square around. But in a second, we're going to hide the basketball during part of its path, which is going to make it a little bit more challenging for our game player. Now I'm going to start the game over again, and let's see what happens. So notice all the basketballs are gone. Now notice all the basketballs are floating around. So now we can kind of see all the maneuvering these different basketballs are going to do. Notice one of our basketballs is basically just moving around, tracking in a square, and the other 2 are basically just bouncing straight up and down off the walls. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a ghost, what's called a ghost effect to all these basketballs, so that they actually appear differently depending on what position our cat is in on this board. So let's go ahead and click on our first basketball sprite, and we're going to create some new code here. So let's go to Events, and let's drag over When I Receive Next Level. Now when I receive next level, I want to set the ghost effect to 100. So let's go to Looks, and let's drag over Set, and change this to Ghost Effect, and go ahead and put that at 100. So we want it to be completely hidden when we first get here. Then we're going to need a control block. So click Control, and let's drag over a forever block. Now notice here, we can have two forever blocks run simultaneously and have this code here run forever as well as whatever we put here. What we need now, I'm going to click on Control here, and we need an if-else block here. So go ahead and grab this if, then else block and paste it in the center of this forever block. Now we're going to need some condition to test for this if block to see if something's happening. So I want you to click Operators and then grab this less than block and paste it right here in the center. So what this block does, it tests if whatever you've put on this side of the less than symbol is smaller than whatever you have on this side. And for the moment here, you can type in 150. And on the left side, you can go ahead and go to Sensing, Distance to, pull it over and put it in the center here. Let's do the drop down, and what we want is the distance from the basketball to our cat. And our cat is Sprite 1, as we can see down here. So go ahead and click Sprite 1. And now what this is saying is forever, if the distance from the basketball to Sprite 1, which is our cat, is less than 150, then we're going to do this. Else, so if it's greater than 150, we're going to do this. So let's go to Looks, and what I want to drag over is this Set block once again. So drag over Set and put it in the center. Click the drop down and let's change it to Ghost. And we're going to actually do what we just did for the if block here. So we're going to what's called dynamically change the ghost effect. So basically the ghost effect is going to be different based on where the cat is compared to the basketball. So all you need to do is click on Operators, pull over this Divide block, paste it in where the 0 is. On the right side, I want you to put in 1.5. And on the left side, let's grab Sensing, and let's drag over Distance to, and paste it right here in the center. So now we care about, once again, the distance to Sprite 1, which is our cat. And for the else block, go back to Looks and drag over Set, change it to Ghost, and do 100. So here's what we're saying. When we come to this level, we're going to set the ghost effect to 100, which is going to essentially hide the basketball. At that point, we're going to forever, if the distance from our cat to the basketball is less than 150, we're going to change the ghost effect depending on the distance. Otherwise, we're going to hide the basketball. So now we only need one more block here. So go back to Control, and let's drag over another if-then block and paste it below our first. Now we need a condition, so let's go to Sensing, and let's drag over Touching and paste it in the center here. And let's change this to Sprite 1. Go to Events and drag over Broadcast. we're going to have a new message that's going to be called retry level 2. And click OK. So what we're doing here is if the cat runs into the basketball, we want the cat to be able to start this level over again. So that's how we're doing. We're going to send out this retry level 2 message, and we're going to use that to reset our position on this second level. So one advantage we have is, since this block doesn't really have anything that pertains specifically to this basketball, we should be able to reuse this code block for basketball 2 and basketball 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the top of this whole block and click duplicate. And then I'm going to click on basketball 2. Then I'm going to do it again for basketball 3. Now let's go ahead and click the green flag to start over again. Now notice my basketballs are fading in and out, but nothing happens when my cat runs into them. So in order to get our cat to reset its position, I'm going to click on the cat again, and I'm going to do what I've done for the other broadcast messages. So I'm running out of room on my code panel, so I'm going to click the zoom out tab here, and it'll give me a little bit more room to work. So basically I want to do what I've done before. When I receive retry level 2, I want to point the cat in direction 90 and reset its position to the beginning. So I'm going to copy this code block. I'm going to click duplicate, I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to change the message I'm listening for to retry level 2. And that should reset the cat's position if he runs into the ball. And notice it actually works. Now on our game, if the cat makes it through here, we're missing one more piece of the game. What happens when the cat reaches the finish line? And currently, you'll notice nothing happens. So we're going to need a "you win" broadcast message to happen when the cat touches red. So let's click on the cat. Notice we have our code here that tested if the cat was touching the color green. So what we need is another if block here. So I'm going to click Control, and I'm going to pull in another if block below our one that was testing for black. I'm going to go to Sensing. I'm going to drag over touching color and paste it right here. I'm going to change this color to red. Now, when the cat touches red, I want to broadcast this "you win" message. So I'm going to click Events. I'm going to drag over Broadcast, and I'm going to create a new message called "you win," and click OK. Now, when the user wins the game, I want to hide all the basketballs that were shown on the second level. So I'm going to click Basketball, and I'm going to drag over "when I receive," "you win," go to Looks, and let's drag over Hide. Now let's copy this, click Duplicate, paste it on basketball 2, and paste it on basketball 3. So now let's see what happens when we reach "you win." So when we win the game, notice all our basketballs are now hidden. But when we win the game, I want to create a new backdrop to show to the user. So I'm going to click on Backdrops again. I'm going to click the Backdrops tab, and I'm going to create a new backdrop. So click New. I'm going to dye the background yellow on mine, and I'm going to add some text. I'm going to make my text red, I'm going to type you win. I'm going to increase the size of my text. And I'm going to drag it to the center. So now I want to show this backdrop when we win the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Scripts, create a new event, and drag over when I receive, you win. Go to Looks, and let's switch backdrop to backdrop 3. Now notice the cat's still showing, so we're going to want to hide the cat. So let's create a new event. When I receive, you win. Let's go to Looks and let's hide the cat. Now let's click the green arrow or the green flag to start the game again. Now notice when we get to the final page, it shows you win. So at this point, there's all sorts of different things you can do to the game. I would suggest go about adding a score to the game. Keep up with the amount of time it takes the user to complete the game. There's also some additional things you can read about Scratch, and that'll be shown during our first session on how you can store global variables, so that you could create a high scores list of everyone who played your game. Thanks for watching, and if you have any more questions, check out Coder Dojo Huntsville and send us any questions you may have or any comments you may have on the video. Thanks.